Hey, what's going on? Welcome to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about the future of companies in the gaming industry. And today, the company we're going to be talking about is obviously it's in the it's in the title, it's in the thumbnail. We're going to be talking about Nintendo. Now, why Nintendo of all the companies? Well, obviously I've just been doing a bit of research, looking into them, looking at watching some documentaries about them, and I thought, this company's been making games since the 1980s. Where exactly then are they going to go in the future of gaming? Do they have a place in the modern era? And how long uh, will they survive in the future where it involves cloud gaming? Well, first of all, let me just say Nintendo has a rich history. They have made some amazing games over the decades. Mario, Zelda, you know, F-Zero, Splatoon, Smash Bros, Metroid, just to name a few. The Donkey Kong Country games. You know, Nintendo has quite a large library of classic games. So right out the bat, to say they'd make their own version of like Xbox Game Pass, I reckon they would do really well. You know, Nintendo would have hundreds of, if not thousands of games available just from their first party offerings. The problem with that would be though, Nintendo isn't exactly the richest company in the world. Yes, they've got $8 billion, $9 billion in cash, but the problem with Nintendo is they're not as big as Microsoft or Sony. They don't do as many things. So gaming is Nintendo's entire bread and butter. If it's not for the games that they make and sell, Nintendo doesn't have anything really besides like merchandise, like selling like merchandise for like Mario and that. They don't really have anything outside of making video games. And I know I'm probably going to get a lot of hate in this video going, oh, you're an Xbox player. You speak about Xbox all the time. No, what I think is going to happen, no, I don't really find that. I think because my first console was actually a Nintendo DSi, and I got a Wii. I didn't get an Xbox until I got an Xbox 360 in 2013, which was my brother's and it was a hand me down. So people are going to say I'm obviously biased against Nintendo. I'm actually not. You know, I literally have a Switch and everything. I've got quite about a dozen games on it. Several of them are first party titles from Nintendo because I like Nintendo. I like Smash Bros. I like the occasional Mario game. I'm still yet to jump into the Zelda series, but you know who knows? Something I might need to get a copy because obviously we don't know how long Corona is going to last. Time is recording, but a lot of what people bring up with Nintendo is Nintendo appeals to quite a lot of casual gamers. They have you know a decent library of games. Mario is iconic. Everyone knows what Mario is. Everyone knows what Zelda is. Smash Bros is a fun party game. Mario Kart is one of the funnest racing games on the market, and that's always been on the market. So first of all, now that we've kind of covered, Nintendo's got a great history of games. Let's look at the future, right? With things like Google Stadia, Amazon Luna, and XCloud becoming more and more normal, to put it lightly. Where do I reckon Nintendo's going to go? Well, I reckon because Nintendo and Microsoft have a partnership and Microsoft have brought games like Minecraft Dungeons, and the Ori games over to Switch, uh, and they have crossplay and whatnot. I reckon what will happen it will be Microsoft will either one or two things. Sony will continue to use the Switch and will use the cloud gaming purchases, which you can now do with games like Control on Switch, or so like bring games like Red Dead Redemption 2 and all that sort of stuff over, like some big games that aren't available on Switch yet, or they would make their own version of Netflix for games, make their own version of Game Pass, which would be mostly Nintendo first party titles and indie games. Now, out of the two, I do think that the whole using cloud gaming on Nintendo Switch thing makes a lot more sense compared to the others, or to the other one, because let's be fair, Nintendo doesn't exactly have billions and billions and billions and billions and billions to spend because you know, Nintendo's the whole thing is gaming. Like we all know, we also what happened with the Wii U where it didn't really do that well. And obviously I had no hate for Nintendo for that. I never had a Wii U myself. I had a friend who did, but pretty much when I heard the Wii U was flopping and whatnot, I was just like, I guess this is the end for him. And then obviously they came back with the Switch, which sold what 67 million units at the time of this recording, and they're doing great. They've got dozens of titles releasing every week. They've got some great third party support. But my whole issue with Nintendo at the minute is You know, this year alone, they haven't really put out many first-party titles. Like, yeah, the ones they have put out are stuff like Animal Crossing New Horizons, Pikmin 3 Deluxe Edition, Super Mario 3D All Stars. So they've been putting out games, but these aren't exactly outside of Animal Crossing. Most of them are remakes, which I'm not really a fan of. I don't really like the idea of constantly remaking a game. I'm sort of the person that's like, yeah, port the game over, re-release it. Don't call it a remake. You don't slap it on a disc or cartridge or something and call it a remake and just don't do anything to the game. Because arguably, from what I've been told about the supposed remake of the Mario 64 on the cartridge, it's not that good. Apparently, they've edited out quite a few things from the original game. Like I know at one point, I know technically this was seen as a homophobic slur of Mario saying "So long, gay Bowser," but in my opinion, that yes, it's offensive. But in my opinion, you shouldn't censor that because it was part of the game and it was part of the game's history. And I'm against censoring history in every form. You know, I don't care if you see it as offensive now. You should just add a warning and say, look, this was offensive then. It's offensive now. We're sorry, but we're going to present this as it was originally made. And then I'm fine. But anyway, back to talking about Nintendo. What I think is going to happen is obviously Nintendo will probably use some of its money to acquire some small independent developers, some like indie devs like Super Yacht Games or someone like that. Maybe Playtonics, so they can get more so they can make more exclusive games faster for the Switch. Because oh no, Switch has quite a nice catalogue of games. It's got I checked on Wikipedia before I made this video. It had it has 3,094 total games. That's not including games on Nintendo Switch Online. So that's just games that were released for the Switch, not including the ones like the NES and SNES, and those games that were released as part of the online subscription. But honestly, where do I think Nintendo will fully go? I do genuinely think what's going to either happen is Nintendo will have to stop buying up smaller studios to make more games faster to help make the Switch or their future console have a stronger first party library and whatnot. Or what I reckon will happen will be Nintendo will end up getting bought out by a big company. I know people are going to say, oh, but they turned down Microsoft in 2016. Yeah, I know Microsoft have made a deal to try and buy Nintendo in 2016 when they were both struggling. Well, both Xbox and the Wii U was struggling. But nowadays, I think that what's going to happen is because we almost have trillion-dollar companies in the gaming, trying to get into the gaming industry now. I've had Microsoft in it since like 2001. What I reckon is going to happen is Nintendo, not just Nintendo, but Nintendo and Sony are both going to start struggling to compete because they're not going to have as much cash. But that's just my opinion, and genuinely, in my opinion, if they do get bought out, I hope it's Nintendo, I hope it's Microsoft and no one else.